Our Super Week coverage brought to you by PCL Construction Limited. And I'll tell you what, it's a distinct honor. It's finally happened. Worlds have collided, Jerry. Worlds have collided. You're waiting for that moment.
I was, yes.
We have him, the man, Mo Egger, ESPN, 1530, Cincinnati. And I got to say this. I heard you. I think this is probably a common thing for people in your life. I heard you before I saw you.
I was on my station on one of our shows just off to the side here on the phone. So,
yeah, coming up the escalator, wango, a tornado.
Yeah.
And then you got off the air, and then I was the tornado. I'm like, Mo, we need photos. We're bumping into
great.
each other. Right. Yes.
Phenomenal.
Worlds colliding.
It really is.
You've made it to Super Bowl week, man.
Last time I saw you, there was like a monsoon sort of unfolding behind you. You were in Boca Raton. I hope to get that invite one day. I hope
anytime, man.
Not for the monsoon, but for the Boca Raton.
Anytime you want, we got a spot open for you.
What's the temperature like back home for you right now?
It's like 83 Fahrenheit. Very similar to this.
Back home it is?
Well, in Florida.
In Florida.
That's home. Saskatchewan, I don't know what it is
across
in
Saskatchewan
Canada.
Right now.
It might be above freezing. I'm not sure. Mo Egger's here. -4. That's Celsius. That's about
-4 Celsius.
High 20s Fahrenheit.
Very
for you.
good. Nice.
Mo, before we get serious, if we get serious at all, did you see the conference room downstairs? The Cincinnati.
I did. I was posted up in there. Yeah.
What's the deal? Who are they?
So there is a group called Game Day Communications, and they are awesome. Locally based. They've been together for about 15, 20 years, and they're essentially. They're a PR firm. I think that's sort of a basic way of putting it, but they are based in Cincinnati, and what they've done is sort of set up a Cincinnati media headquarters here at the hotel. So they've rolled in. I think the mayor of Cincinnati is going to be here tomorrow. The governor of Ohio is going to be here tomorrow. Some former Bengals, they're rushing them through. And so it's sort of the place to post up. If you're in Cincinnati media and you're looking for a place to work, a place to sit down, a workstation, they're feeding us. So we'll show up.
They're unbelievable people.
They are Jackie Rowe and Betsy Ross. Betsy Ross, people might know, was on ESPN for a number of years, both based in Cincinnati, and they could not be more hospitable. And they are absolute champions of our city, championing Cincinnati tourism, Cincinnati causes, Cincinnati events, and so it's great to have them here.
So the wildest thing, they yanked me into the room yesterday.
Yeah.
They're putting media passes around my neck, and they said, Mo's going on your show tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
how did they pick you out?
I have no idea.
Well, you came dressed as a highlighter, so I'm surprised they saw you.
Some say a tennis ball. Yeah, exactly. Just great people. And my thing is, I'm being swayed. I've had some friends that have played for the Rams. That was kind of my team, Mo. But maybe you've sensed this since you got here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's crapping all over the Bengals. Nobody loves the Bengals in this town.
Why?
They say it's not a good matchup. The NFL doesn't want them here.
Who cares?
I'm just telling you. I'm starting to think
why would the highest rated Super Bowl ever to this day? The Bengals played in it 40 years ago, 81, against the San Francisco 49ers. The NFL doesn't want Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl? Are you kidding me?
That's what I've picked up.
The NFL wants great stories. And the Cincinnati Bengals, you might not be a fan, you might be rooting for Los Angeles. You cannot deny this franchise, what they've done this season, it represents a great story. They won 2 games 2 years ago. The way they've won these playoff games, all coming down to a final defensive play, and in 2 instances coming down to a kick, one at the end of regulation and one in overtime, going on the road and falling behind by 18 points against Patrick Mahomes and winning at Arrowhead Stadium, and doing it with a former Heisman Trophy winner, a former national champion quarterback, and the number 1 overall pick. Joe Burrow is one of the faces of the NFL. So the notion that the NFL wouldn't want them here is absurd. The NFL wants great stories. The Cincinnati Bengals are, frankly, a better story than the transient Los Angeles Rams, who have hopscotched around the country with their owner, Stan Kroenke, not being able to settle in one place. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a much better story.
Yeah, well, and I'm
biased.
I can find a story in any game. Trust me.
Yes,
as can you. It's what we do.
Yeah.
But have you even been here 24 hours?
I got it. No. Feels like my flight lasted 24 hours. No, I got into like midnight.
How about that?
Okay, well, here's my thing.
Yeah.
I've been here since Saturday. I've been all over. Yeah. And I'm just the Bengals are getting no respect.
No. Okay.
That
well, we are in L.A., and they're playing an L.A. team.
Yeah.
So, and look, I mean, West and East Coast elites tend to look down their noses at little tiny,
Midwest,
mom and pop Midwest Cincinnati. We're used to that. I'm used to that, and so that's fine. All I know is this: the Bengals deserve to be here. They're a great story, and they have more than a puncher's chance to win this football game on Sunday.
How are they going to do it?
Well, I think, frankly, the formula has been basic, and I think I've said this to you. The Bengals, when they don't turn the football over, have been virtually unbeatable. They're 12-1 when they don't lose the turnover battle. So what's going to happen in this game is Joe Burrow is going to get hit. We know that's coming. Cincinnati's offensive line is not very good. Just call it what it is. Yeah. And the Rams have Aaron Donald and Von Miller and a great defensive front. They're coming after Joe Burrow, and they're going to hit him, and they're going to sack him. But do the sacks turn into sack fumbles, and do the pressures turn into picks? In the Tennessee game, Joe took nine sacks. Held onto the ball for a long time, but that beat throwing a pick, and at least he maintained possession. So I think if that's the case, and I think if they can establish enough of a running game, I'm not talking about Joe Mixon running for 170. I'm talking about him having the kind of game he had against Kansas City, where I think he ran it 21 times for 84 yards. He was a factor in the passing game in all three postseason games. If they can do that, and if the formula that they've used in the second half of the season and in the postseason continues, which is don't turn it over, then I think they're going to be fine. But, look, that offensive line, that's a mismatch. LA's defensive front against Cincinnati's offensive line is. How do they scheme around it? How do they mitigate it? And does Joe Burrow amplify the mismatch by turning it over? The answer in the second half of the season has been no, and there's a direct correlation between that and the Bengals winning all these games to get here.
Last we saw, the line is still Rams favored by 4 at our exclusive betting partner, betregal.ca. And by the way, if you sign up right now with the promo code RP56 for Super Bowl 56, you'll get 56 welcome dollars to wager on this game. But here's the thing, Mo. You met Darren DuPont, the brains behind this entire outfit. Mm-hmm. He is the owner. All this stuff is him. He wanted to take this show out on the road. He's wanted to do it for a while. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing it for almost a year. I wanted to get to L.A. to get the vibe out here because I didn't hear much, Mo, about the pressure of the hometown team.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it now because I've been since Saturday. So the Buccaneers last year were the first team to ever play in the Super Bowl in their own city, and they won it. Guess what the Rams don't want to be? You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure on them because they've mortgaged a big part of their future.
All of it.
By the way, I love it. I love it when teams go, you know what, we got a shot to go for it. We're going to go for it. To heck with hoarding draft assets, that sort of thing. They've gone for it, but it's possibly come at the expense of their short-term future. The Cincinnati Bengals are set up, I think, for short-term and maybe long-term success. They have a lot of cap space. They have all their draft choices. They have a quarterback under a rookie contract. The LA Rams traded a lot of draft capital to get Matthew Stafford, and they're paying him a lot of money. So I think from that standpoint, there's more pressure on Los Angeles. But as set up as and I've talked about this on my show a lot over the last week and a half, as set up as the Bengals are for success, you never know when you're going to be back in this position again. I'd place a premium on taking advantage of opportunities. And this team certainly has one. By the way, what's brighter, my legs or your shirt? Look at that. That's nothing. Nothing says Cincinnati in February than. But
you're not afraid to show them off. Look at that. I'm here for it.
That's nice, isn't it? I should have wore pants.
Approved. It's hot outside. Who could believe it? By the way, Dan the situation Saravelli is watching in Philadelphia right now. He says the Rams go up early with their pass rush and possibly create a turnover. Bengals adjust at halftime and win it with a field goal in the dying seconds. That from Dan Saravelli, his prediction, where he watches every day on Game Plus television in Philly, carried by TDS Cable. By the way, our insider, Jim Lang, Canada's foremost NFL expert, column that's up right now at rodpeterson.com, has predicted a 30-27 Rams victory. But I want to ask about your coach, Zac Taylor, because I've seen him on NFL Network. All those interviews are Zoom, right? He hasn't been in the venue anywhere. Right. Smiling all the time. He seems to be very stress-free.
Yeah.
He's an NFL head coach, man. Is that the new breed of NFL? Because Sean McVay doesn't look real nervous either.
Yeah. Marvin Lewis was the coach in Cincinnati for 16 years, and he never won a playoff game. Zac Taylor's won 3, so he probably knows he has a job for life now.
Hall of Fame.
It's going to be fine. No, I'll tell you what, when they went through 2-14 his first year and all the issues they went through last season, just watching his demeanor, I was impressed by the fact that you never really got the sense that the losing was getting to him. And I think that's important. Not that it didn't bother him. Surely it did. He's a competitive guy, but I mean, you can see on the face of some of these coaches when the walls are caving in, and then he dealt with a lot of stuff, especially that first year, from AJ Green being injured, and then probably being healthy enough to play but not playing. They had a guy in Cordy Glenn, an offensive lineman, who basically didn't want to play. There was the sloppiness with the way they handed off Andy Dalton's job to Ryan Finley at the time. There was a lot of unease. Carlos Dunlap basically playing his way out of town, begging his way, tweeting his way out of town last year. I thought publicly, at least, Zac handled all of that really, really well. And I'll say this. He said often during that first season, not boldly, but he would say somewhat matter-of-factly, this stinks right now, but it's going to be worth it. Excuse me. It's going to be worth it when we're celebrating winning big, and it's going to happen.
Well, he had the
and
big
it's going to happen soon. He did. Yeah, and it was very easy to criticize him during those first 2 years, but if you look back at the way he handled those first 2 years, a lot of stuff worked against him. He did not make excuses. He inherited a terrible team, an unenviable quarterback situation, and publicly, at least, he handled all of that and all of the criticism he got very, very well.
Mo, how long you been on the air there doing that show?
15 years.
Oh, long enough.
Yeah.
So I was flying to Florida for a football camp 4, 5, 6 years ago, and the flight attendant, she moonlighted as the flight attendant on Bengals charters. So she came and sat beside me, and I had a million questions for her, right? And she said, "Oh, Marvin,
you're describing my dream, quite frankly. The flight attendant sits next to you."
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man.
That sort of thing doesn't happen when I fly.
I shine the light.
Yeah.
So she said that Marvin Lewis had a shirt and tie regime. You're probably aware of all these things. All the guys that she said the Brown family, the owners, had the first 3 rows, and she said that his grandkids were very unruly and undisciplined. I said, that's shocking. She said that there was a racks of Chick-fil-A for the guys when they first got on the plane, and then there was a buffet once they got in the air. She said the biggest jerk on the team was Adam Pac-Man Jones, which we could talk about another time. And then I said, who was your favorite Bengal? And she said, oh, Andy. We all loved Andy, the Red Rifle. So we were getting on the elevator last night, and I said to Moose, I guess the Bengals made the right choice and moving on from the Red Rifle.
Yeah, it's nothing against Andy. First of all, terrific guy.
Yeah.
His foundation, there's a lot of athletes that have foundations, and you never hear the work they do. Andy's did a lot of good for people, and will continue to. Andy and his wife made an incredible impact in our town, and he's always going to be held in high regard. The reality is, as a quarterback, he wasn't great. Wasn't bad. He was never as bad as people made him out to be, but he was never as good as we hoped he would be. And he won a lot of games, but he couldn't win the big one. And you always had the sense that, in 2013, 14, and 15, specifically 13 and 15, they had really good teams. And those seasons always sort of played out with this sense of the quarterback play is probably going to keep them from reaching their full potential. And, that was always kind of the case. Whereas with Joe Burrow, you get the sense that regardless of what the roster looks like, the sky's the limit. That is no knock on Andy. There's more quarterbacks in the National Football League like Andy Dalton than Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes or these guys. Andy did a lot of good in Cincinnati, and he's always held in high regard. And I think what you hope for is that he finds himself in a position, probably not as a starting quarterback, but that where he can be a part of a team like the one that he used to play for, which is obviously now in the Super Bowl. That would be cool. I think every Bengals fan is certainly happy to have Joe Burrow, but grateful for having had Andy Dalton for as long as the Bengals did, and appreciative for what he did in Cincinnati.
Mo, my last question for you is what are you getting up to here work-wise? Where are you doing your show? What's your Super Bowl week for you?
Oh, man, how much time do you have?
2 minutes.
I'm broadcasting from the Tailgate Tour tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. It's in Santa Monica. That's about all I know.
Perfect. It's being handled for you? Is that the deal?
Oh, God, no. No. I'm very much kind of a one-man gang. I'm envious of the fact that you have 2 people here. I have me. I have me and a trunk of equipment. But
I've been there.
I'm grateful to be here.
It's a tough place to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I'm very grateful for this guy. I tell you every day, don't I? Every day. Pretty much I tell him, this is the guy.
You should.
So, Mo, you're the best, man. Appreciate
How do I get a highlighter color Rod Pedersen polo shirt?
Did you ever get the hoodie in the mail?
I did. They sent the wrong size. But, it's whatever. It's
RodPetersonShop.com. What can I say? Mo Egger, ESPN, 1530 Cincinnati. It all started with me ripping the Bengals, which, by the way, what everybody's saying down here, too, is I guess we'll just change our jerseys. We'll get to the Super Bowl. That's worked for the Bengals.
Yeah.
So,
see? I mean,
how wrong was I?
You kind of sort of spoke this into existence by saying they're going to suck. Your exact words. Bengals got new uniforms. Still going to suck.
My
Bingo.
string of predictions continues. A win. Okay, thanks, Mo.
All right, Rod.
We appreciate
Thanks. It was fun. Thanks.
You bet, as always.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.